Of Justice. Good evening, Huddle. All right, we are here for another Monday night Huddle, and this is not the Monday before convention, but this is the Monday before the Monday of convention because we still have next Monday, but convention is next week. Is everybody excited for convention? Yes. If you have not gone online and seen the schedule, Dominique is going to come and talk about convention a little later, but if you have not gone online and seen the schedule, we have a lot of people coming. So make sure that you all register for convention and register for all of that. Also, I want to bring to your attention that tomorrow is Tuesday. Does everybody know what tomorrow is specifically? Ashley? Yes, tomorrow is election day for the primary. And so I don't know how many of you actually knew that it was time to vote. We were just talking in the back and I did not know. And early voting has already passed. So tomorrow is the last day. So please, if you have not voted for the presidential primary, this is not the full election, this is the primary to say who will be on the ballot for the 2024 presidential election. So if you have not voted, you can go and vote. And if you need more information on that, go to vote.nyc.gov for more information regarding voting. All right, now let me pray. I done gave all those announcements, but I'll pray. God, we thank you for this time and this opportunity that you have brought us here. We ask that you will bless all of those that are here, bless those that are on their way, bless those that contribute, and we pray for great conversation in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, Patrice is going to come with our opening scripture. Let's give Patrice a hand.
Good evening, Huddle family. Our scripture lesson this evening is coming from Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, verses 19 through 27. The Lord by wisdom has founded the earth. By understanding, he has established the heavens. By his knowledge, the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. My son, let not them depart from thine eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. So shall they be life unto thy soul, and grace to thy neck. Then shalt thou walk in thy ways safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lie down, and shalt sleep, and it shall be sweet. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. For the Lord shall be thy confidence, and shall keep thy foot from being taken. Withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it is the power of thy hand to do it. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and understanding of his holy word.
Amen. That was a great scripture. Now we are going to have our chair and founder report by our co-founder, Ms. Dominique Sharpton, who's going to come up with some announcements. Let's give Dominique a hand.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So it is almost time. We are 9 days away from National Action Network's convention. It's right around the corner. We're celebrating 33 years of fighting for justice. Less than 2 weeks away. It's crazy. All roads lead to New York City, where thousands from across the country, across the nation, and even overseas are going to be joining us to convene for another historic National Action Network convention. Are y'all excited? I am tired, I'll tell you that. But definitely looking forward to it. We got a lot in store, a lot coming at you. But we really are convening to really lay out the action agenda. A lot of people talk about, this is going on, these issues matter to us, so we feel very passionate about this and that and the third. We are convening, National Action Network's convention convenes to actually lay out, what are we going to do about healthcare? What are we going to do about gun violence in America? What are we doing about the issue of voter suppression? suppression? What are we doing about DEI? And how are we dealing with this across a national landscape? So we're going to be joined by various chapter leaders from across the country. Y'all know that National Action Network has over 100 chapters of National Action Network across the country. So we're going to be joined by a lot of those chapter leaders and a lot of other chapters from across the country from National Action Network, as well as many leaders in different areas, from Robert Smith, the black billionaire, to Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough from Morning Joe. Y'all see Rev on Morning Joe on MSNBC all the time. Or we got Joy Ann Reid coming from MSNBC. There are so many people coming. And then we are dealing, of course, with our local politics, from Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg to what we're dealing with on the criminal justice landscape, to all of the other local DAs and the local city council people that are coming to address what we're doing and how we are moving forward, really, with that action agenda. The convention is free, but you have to register in order to attend. So hopefully everyone in this room have already registered. Yeah. And those who are watching us via live stream, if you haven't registered, you can register right on the website at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call us at 877-626-4651. And we're concluding, of course, our convention every year concludes with our Youth Day. So we have a lot in store for Youth Day coming up on Saturday, April 13th. The Youth and College Division has been working very diligently along with NAN's Youth Huddle on putting together Youth Day. So we have a very extensive and robust schedule that's going to take place around the course of 4 days. So lots to take part in and lots to do, lots to be a part of. So you can definitely register and be a part of it and join us, and also tell your friends and families, right, to join us, and especially your young people on Saturday to join us at the convention. We're also continuing our DEI protests. For over 3 months now, we've been protesting DEI to keep diversity, equity, and inclusion alive, and we invite you and your families to join us every Thursday. Christian Matthews is here. He helps to lead the picket lines, along with our own Reverend Ronald McKemery, and many others, many of you who join us every Thursday to protest and to keep DEI alive and on the forefront of our activism and what we're doing across the country to really keep our voices ignited in terms of making sure that we don't let this in particular die with a lot of the other ramifications and a lot of the provisions and things that they are putting in place all over the country. We want to keep diversity, equity, and inclusion alive, and we want to keep us definitely able and resourceful and having access and opportunities to everything we deserve. So with that said, I hope that y'all join us on the protest, but spread the word also, and we got to stay together. We also must help Haiti. So this past week, Reverend Sharpton continued to press elected officials and other Americans to do more about supporting Haiti and helping to stem the unrest. As the situation continues to worsen, Rev called, along with religious leaders, to discuss what else the community can do. He also had an extensive meeting with Reverend Jesse Jackson, who organized ministers nationwide on this urgent issue. National Urban League President Mark Morial called for a meeting with the Biden administration to tackle the crisis and to see what the United States can do to further assist. And then last week, Rev led a press conference with Mayor Eric Adams and several city council members, Haitian faith and community leaders, and others to discuss how New York City and its large Haitian community can respond to the deepening humanitarian crisis. This past week, Reverend Sharpton also sat down with comedian, actor, and producer Chris Spence as he interviewed NAN's fearless leader for an upcoming 10-part docuseries on the history of Black comedy. So a lot of people don't know that Rev knows a lot about Black history. He's a walking encyclopedia, I call him. And so he is going to be interviewed for this documentary on the history of Black comedy in America. And Rev is going to be featured as one of those that they interview for that documentary. All right, I think I'm finished here. I'm going to turn the mic back over to Christian. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominique. And so as Dominique just said, I want to make sure that y'all are registered for convention. And also, I'm going to specifically brag about Youth and College Day. Let me tell you, we have Ashley, myself, Olivi, and Usman and Dom have been on calls every week, extensively going over Youth and College Day, which starts Friday afternoon. We have one panel on Friday afternoon, that is the gun violence panel. Yes, and I will be moderating that panel myself. And I'm glad to say that we have a representative coming from the White House, the newly appointed White House Office to Prevent Gun Violence Director, Greg Jackson, that is flying in from DC. And we have some other great people coming on Saturday. Y'all are going to see it, but Saturday we have our panel on entrepreneurship, young entrepreneurs. We have our education panel, we have our policy panel, and then concluding our convention every year, which is where Ashley and Dominique have started, is our talent show and fashion show, which will be from 5 to 7. So make sure that you are there and that you come. It's going to be a great event. So if you are not registered for convention, online people, we want you to register right now. Rev told us that we have planes full of people coming. We have buses full of people coming from all across the country and around the world. Yes, y'all can clap. From all across the country and around the world. So make sure that you are going ahead doing that. All right. Now we are moving on. Now I want to say this. If you feel that the next moment in this program, which is coming right now, is a little impartial, it is because that is where Ashley went to college. So she is coming up with a Black History fact regarding Hampton University. Let's give Ashley a hand as she comes.
I am impartial, but it is still important. So, has anybody heard of the better HU out of the HUs? Which one was that? Does anyone know? Okay. Christian said it's Howard. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Hampton? Okay, people are awake here. I don't know, Christian is confused. He didn't start school yet, in college yet, so he doesn't understand. All right, so I went to the real HU, Hampton University, located on the shore of Chesapeake Bay in Hampton, Virginia. It was founded on April 1st, 1868, by Samuel Chapman Armstrong, the son of a prominent missionary family that settled in Hawaii in the early 1800s. Armstrong was enrolled at Williams College in Massachusetts when the Civil War began. He volunteered for the Union Army, rose quickly in rank, and was given command of an African-American military unit. By the end of the Civil War, Armstrong had obtained the rank of brevet general. After the war, Armstrong worked with the Freedmen's Bureau and observed the great need for education and vocational skills among the recently freed slaves. With those needs in mind, and supported by the American Missionary Society and a number of philanthropists, he founded Hampton Normal and Agricultural Institute, which was the original name. Hampton welcomed African Americans and after 1877, Native Americans. All were trained at Hampton to exhibit good character, teach, work as skilled artisans, and provide leadership in their communities. Native American students continued to study at Hampton until 1923. Booker T. Washington, the most famous 19th century graduate of the institution, infused the Hampton idea into Tuskegee Institute, which he founded in 1881 in central Alabama. So it's all kind of connected. Hampton and Tuskegee were by 1900 the most successful African-American institutions committed to agricultural and vocational education, although they inspired similar colleges throughout the nation. W.E.B. Du Bois and John Hope, among other educators, became increasingly critical of the Hampton idea by the early 20th century. Partly in response to such criticism, Hampton beginning in 1922, expanded its faculty and curriculum, raised admission standards, and introduced a 4-year bachelor's degree program. The first BA degrees were awarded in 1926, and 2 years later, Hampton initiated its first graduate programs. In 1932, Hampton was accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges. From that point, Hampton recruited academically talented students, like myself, from across the nation, In 1984, Hampton Institute changed its name to Hampton University as it continued to expand its graduate and research programs in the arts and sciences. Today, Hampton University has more than 5,500 undergraduate and graduate students and offers more than 50 degree programs. So, today Hampton was born. Salute to you all who started it and salute to you all who are going right now.
You see, what I didn't tell Ashley, I told Ashley that I did not apply to Hampton, but I actually did. And I got accepted. And so even though I am a little impartial, Hampton is actually a very good school. And it is a beautiful campus. And you know, so that's good, and we're glad for Hampton. Give Hampton a hand one more time. We always need to fight for our HBCUs. We never want to allow the predominantly white institutions to get too much, but we want to also show love to our black institutions. Am I right? All right, now we are going to have our Artivism segment, and Dan, who has not been with us in a minute, but he is back, and we're glad that Dan is back, is going to come with a musical selection. Let's give Dan a hand as he comes.
Thank you. I hope everyone enjoyed a wonderful holiday. I was on an extended holiday for a little while, so you'll notice I put a little Shirley Caesar in tonight's segment. So I hope y'all enjoy. But the predominant song is Formation. The artist is Beyonce on that. Sorry, I don't got any dancers. I'm up here by myself, it's just me. But I'm gonna do my best. Can we adjust the volume with one of these nozzles or no? Does it go higher? Should I sing lower? Are you sure you can't put the volume up? There we go. A little higher would be better. Rock necklaces, yeah, make the volume higher. I like my Negro nose with Jackson 5 afros, yeah boy, I see it, I want it, shine like a North Star Polaris. I work hard, I get to the business on time, dollar, yeah. Okay, ladies. Special shout out to Dominique, special shout out to Ashley. These ladies are information and they get the information, and that's real. So as we move into this next season and the season after that, we're preparing for votation. That's a very serious time to be informed. So let's continue to be informed. Now I want to get this volume a little high so I can really perform. But if we can't do it down, then I guess I'm going to have to do it up. So if y'all can hear that, can y'all hear the music? Can y'all hear the music already? Y'all heard Shirley come on? I can't even tell it's just Shirley Caesar come on yet. But it's all right though. Not strong. I got my money, but they never strip my integrity. In the morning, I grind hard, I work hard. You can get yours if you want it. I twirl on my haters. I'll tell them bye-bye. I'll see you later. I'll go up. Give what's mine. I'm a star. I slay all day. I'll slay. We gon' slay. You could slay all day. Okay. Okay, ladies, yeah. Go and get that information. Okay, ladies, get that information. Oh, I slay all day, I slay, I know it, man. You might just be the next Black Bill Gates in the making. Shout out to the young people, the youth of the future. And once again, I hope everyone enjoyed a wonderful holiday, Resurrection Sunday. And God bless National Action Network and the National Action Network Year 2024 National Convention. Amen.
Let's give Dan a hand one more time. Thank God. You got to get information. Make sure you're in formation for the 2024 convention. All right. Is everybody an updated member of the year of 2024? I don't hear enough claps. What's wrong? I said, is everybody an updated member for the year of 2024? If you are not, make sure that you become an updated member for the year of 2024. Stay informed about all NAN events close to where you live. So those that are online, if you are in North Carolina, look for the chapter out in North Carolina. We have over 100 chapters nationwide. And so make sure you are doing that. Text justice followed by your state to 59769. Once again, that is your justice followed by your state to 59769. And also remember to join us for our Saturday action rallies every Saturday, promptly starting at 9 a.m. We have church and then we hear the word. So if you want to hear the word, make sure that you are here because the word starts at 10. The reverend comes out. And so be prepared. Last Saturday we had a very good word. I almost didn't think that we would be able to move on, but we moved on all right. But didn't we have a good week last Saturday? And that was a good message from Rev. What he said, we can't stop the crucifixion, but they can't stop the resurrection. And that was a good message. All right, I'm done. Now we're coming up for good news. Does anybody have any good news for today? Come step up to the black mic, which is right over here. And we're doing good news. This is the good news segment. Before Tony comes, I want to give good news for Goldie on behalf of the Women's Auxiliary. They had a great Women of Excellent Man of Vision Award ceremony, and they did a great job. The food was good. The women did a good job turning the House of Justice into a banquet hall. It looked beautiful in here, silver and gold. Give it up for Goldie, who is the president of the Women's Auxiliary, and Miss Kathy Jordan Sharpton, who is the chairwoman, and is now getting the food ready for when we finish Huddle. All right, now go ahead, Tony.
Okay. Yesterday, I went to the Jacob Javits car show with my two daughters. It was a triple beautiful day. It was a daddy-daughter day. It was Easter Sunday. A lot of those people was walking around with their bunny rabbit heads on. And also, it was, Easter Sunday. And my daughters love cars. This is one of our family rituals. We go almost every year. And we spent about 5 hours in there. I walked over 10,000 steps. It was all over the place. But I just loved it so much, I didn't want to go. But just being with them, just enjoying the moment with them. They fell in love with cars in 1995 when I was selling cars in Jersey City. And my younger one, she came in and, walked around and she jumped in the car. She said, ooh, I want one of those when I grow up. She kept her promise. And so that's why we've been doing this ever since. I loved it. That's my happy day. There you go.
All right. Let's give it up for Tony.
Hi, good day, everybody, and God bless everybody. My good news is that on Saturday, I early voted for Joseph Biden. Yes. And I'm here to encourage everyone who's a voter, please vote on April 2nd, your best choice, because I voted my best choice, Joseph Biden. Good day, God bless y'all.
She used his real name, Joseph Robinette Biden.
I can't. Go ahead, word. Okay, so besides he got up because that was Reservation Weekend. That was good news, great news. We have a special guest here tonight. Brother Edwin from the Freedom Agenda. He emailed me and he wants to make a special presentation for us. But, every time anybody has interest with Huddle, I'm like, make sure you come and check out what we're about first. And he took me up on that challenge, so I just want to welcome you tonight just to share a few words of what he does and what his group represents and what they'll be sharing. Thank you, Brother Anthony. Let's welcome him.
Hello. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ashley, for inviting me here. Thank you very much for allowing me to come up here and speak some. I'm from an organization called Freedom Agenda. You can look us up online on all our socials. That's Freedom Agenda NY. We are leading the work to close Rikers Island. I come here to tell you that Rikers Island does have an expiration date, August 31st, 2027. And the borough-based plan, thank you. That was a direct result from a lot of work from formerly incarcerated individuals like myself, directly impacted people that pushed the Mayor de Blasio to, adopt this close Rikers plan and this borough-based plan, and it's being implemented. But a lot of work needs to be done. Right now, there's some things that you can do and to take action right now if you're concerned about this. Is right now, I put my cards out here. First of all, I put my cards in the back. This is my number. My name is Edwin Santana. I'm a community organizer here, and I got the email there. You can email me. We could talk further about the plan. If you don't understand it, you can go to our website and see the whole plan for yourself. Right now, the mayor has put out his austere budget, that is going to cut a lot of stuff, and we're pushing back on that. So please join us. And there's a petition on one of the papers in the back. It's a QR code. Please scan it. It's a petition going straight to the mayor saying, look, man, Rikers Island got to go. This plan needs to keep on being implemented, and we need to end mass incarceration here in New York City. Right, and another thing you could do tomorrow, we have a rally in Broadway. Let me give you the address real quick. Sorry, my phone turned off. We're on 3242 Broadway. That's by over there by City Hall, and it's calling for a voting booth in jails, right? Because people in jail and prison should have the right to vote, right? And although they have it right now, it's a law. They don't actually have a voting booth that's inside Rikers or any one of these borough jails that's going to be implemented. So please come out, join us, and follow us online. Like I said, if there's any questions you had, I noticed, saying just closing Rikers Island is not just a saying or a statement. It's a conversation. So I'm here for it. I'll be here for a little while longer, and then I have to leave. But I would like to come back another day and do a full-fledged presentation for y'all. It will be my pleasure, man, and I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's give him a hand. Before you can give her the mic. He doesn't know, but before he came, I don't know if y'all remember the Did You Know that we had on Rikers Island, and I spoke about the different boroughs. Where these jails are going. So I'm glad to see, and as he just gave his own testimony, I'm glad to see that even after his incarceration that he has turned his life around. Because most people say that once you're in jail, you don't get rehabilitated into society. But I'm glad to see that we have a formerly incarcerated person that has turned his life around to doing good and justice in our communities. Am I right? Let's give him a hand one more time for the great work that they are doing.
What was the question?
This is good news.
Good news. I will be attending. I usually attend a free class at Borough Manhattan Community College on Wednesday, but they're going to have. They're not going to have the class this Wednesday, but I'm going to go down and listen to the students because they're supposed to be voting on different departments that they have different clubs. So they're going to do that Wednesday. I'm going to go down and take a look at it and listen to what they have to say because they're cutting a lot of programs and they're giving them a hard time because of those clubs.
All right.
But we got to back them up, Like I told them, you have to go back to the people that you spend your money with and get support from them. That's good.
All right. Thank you. And our last good news for today. Go ahead, Anthony.
So part of my good news is that all the beautiful things that I wanted to see accomplished in life, I see more and more people going after the same thing and saying it over and over again to other people so that we can continue to move forward in the progression of a better life. Even in so much, a gentleman named Ernesto, he's on River Avenue between 153rd and 157. He sells these shirts. He gave me this shirt of an anime called Demon Slayer. The anime is a young man. He went out and demons attacked his family and killed his mother and father, and they tried to turn his sister into a demon. And so he's fighting. He went to learn how to become a demon slayer so he can fight and change his sister back into a normal person. And he gave me the pink shirt because of the Women's Month. So I wanted to say, I got a pink shirt for the Women's Month, And
We're in
that's my
April
good
now.
news.
This is April now.
Well, it was last week I had it. Last week I had it. I just got it.
Thank you, Anthony.
Leave me alone.
Let's give Anthony a hand. Come on. All right, that was our last good news for this segment. All right, we are moving on into our Did You Know segment, and we have some 3 heavy-packed Did You Knows. So the order is going to be Ashley, Patrice, and then myself. And Ashley's Did You Know is good, Patrice's is great, mine is excellent. So let them come at this time in that order.
So you see who has the bias here. Christian is biased. And he's on a low-key, he's an elitist. Low-key. But I'll save that for another evening. All right. So be patient with me because my article is a little lengthy, all right? But it's important. So for more than 5 years, Helen Cruz lived on the streets of Grants Pass, a small rural town of roughly 40,000 people. The city has now found itself at the center of a homeless crisis plaguing major cities across the United States. For years, Grants Pass has been embroiled in a contentious lawsuit with homeless residents like Cruz, who argue that anti-camping ordinances enacted by the city, including fines for sleeping in any park or public space, violate their constitutional rights. The legal battle has now gone all the way to the United States Supreme Court, which is scheduled to hear arguments in the case on April 22nd. The decision could affect how cities nationwide address homelessness in their communities. I'll say that again because that's why we chose this article. This decision on April 22nd in the Supreme Court could affect how cities nationwide address homelessness in their communities. Cruz, who couldn't afford rent, says she often slept in a tent in a city park. Although she is no longer homeless, working and living at a small local church, she says she still has more than $6,000 in tickets and fines. Her credit is shot. Anything that she wants to write a ticket for, they bother her all the time. Cruz and other residents say that because Grants Pass has no low-barrier, full-time homeless shelter, they have no alternative but the street. It's for that reason that they argue the city has violated the 8th Amendment to the Constitution, barring cruel and unusual punishment. They are saying because we don't have that white picket fence that we're not allowed to live, Cruz said, and we don't have any place to go. The flip side, local officials say, is a city dotted with tents and frustrated residents who feel they can't use their public park spaces. Sounds familiar, right? It's happening in New York City. I think there's a lot of crime happening in these parks, Police Chief Warren Hinsman said, and I think our city, it deserves to have the ability to hold people accountable to bad behavior. I don't think I or anybody else wants to make it difficult for somebody. Pointing to a nearby row of tents, he said, we want to support, we want to help people, but the reality is this in and of itself is inhumane. Grants Pass, like many cities, is also dealing with a housing shortage. Over the past 2 decades, as more people moved in, housing costs went up, forcing a growing number of people onto the streets. According to the U.S. Census, the population of Grants Pass was nearly 23,000 in 2000. It's now nearly 40,000. I would be surprised if there are very many apartments that you could find for less than $1,200 a month in Grants Pass. The Grants Pass case arrived at the Supreme Court after the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sided with the city's homeless residents. The appeals court ruled 2-1 that the city, which is about 250 miles south of Portland, can't enforce its anti-camping ordinances against homeless persons for the mere act of sleeping outside with rudimentary protection from the elements, or for sleeping in their car at night when there is no other place in the city for them to go. The decision applies only in situations in which homeless people are engaging in conduct necessary to protect themselves from the elements, the court added. Grants Pass appealed, and the Supreme Court decided to take it up. So that's how it got all the way up there. Among those watching the outcome California Governor Gavin Newsom who is among several Democrats who have called on the court to side with the city and against those arguing against any limits on outdoor camping. Encampments are dangerous, period, he said. California is investing billions to build housing and provide the services needed to get people out of tents and into safer situations. However, our best efforts are being blocked because of sweeping injunctions that delay progress and fail to provide any consistent guidance for local authorities to abide by. That's his opinion. Newsom filed an amicus brief supporting Grants Pass and arguing that rulings in other courts that have banned anti-camping ordinances have paralyzed cities and effectively blocked them from moving people off public streets. Officials in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Phoenix are also among those asking the Supreme Court to overturn the appeals court ruling. Grants Pass wants to make it illegal on every inch of property 24 hours a day. The problem is if that's allowed, many cities will simply turn and try to run all of the homeless people out of their community. And they have to go somewhere, so they're going to go somewhere else. And they're still going to have to live outside because of the affordable housing shortage, says one person who lives there. Johnson said that people are being punished for simply existing, and that if more cities enact strict anti-camping ordinances like Grants Pass, it can make the homelessness crisis worse. A specific point of contention is Grants Pass is the lack of shelters. The city directs people to the Gospel Rescue Mission, but the religious organization, which requires residents to work there, has a complicated list of rules that makes it unappealing for many, including those who are already employed. One of the reasons that I stand up now is because I don't want to see what others started. I don't want to see it finished in the right way. Cruz said, I believe what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and what's going on in this town right now is not right by any means. If they side with the city of Grants Pass, I don't really want to think about what's going to happen. It's an uncertainty that nobody wants to think about. So my question, I had two, but I'll make it shorter. Do you believe that providing more low-barrier, full-time homeless shelters is an effective solution to addressing homelessness? And what are the potential consequences of enforcing strict anti-camping ordinances in cities with the housing shortage? So I'll say that again because that was a lot. What are the potential consequences of enforcing strict anti-camping ordinances, which means that they cannot sleep in the park or outside if they are homeless? What are the potential consequences of enforcing strict ordinances in the cities with a housing shortage? Clear? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, what is, you said the negative impact, right? Yeah. Okay, so the negative impact when it comes to that, people complain when there is too many people in the shelters. People complain when you need to house people and you have to end up using one of these luxury motels or luxury hotels to put them in. Then people complain when they are on the street. When you have a housing crisis, like what we're going through, what we see in our city, even before the immigrants, let's already talk about our already existing housing crisis, including LA. I'm gonna go back, the mayor recently did an interview with the Breakfast Club. I know some of you older people don't know what that is, but I went back and rewatched it. I was listening to it in the car. But one of the things he spoke about was homelessness. And so I think that causes a true issue because people need somewhere to live. When you live in a city like New York, that is the most expensive place to live in the world. It is beyond Singapore, it is beyond Hawaii, which were the two highest places for people to live. New York is the highest in the world. And we are a city in a state in a bigger country. Singapore is a country, Hawaii isn't, but housing crisis in New York is real. Housing crisis in big cities in America is real. I don't feel that people should be left on the street, but I also don't believe that if they have these encampments, that they should go away. I believe that there should be some way that the mayor and the federal government can turn that into temporary housing facilities. There's a way for them to get ventilated tents with air conditioning, with heat, with a lot of things that people need because they don't want them in hotels, they don't want them in shelters. Where else are they supposed to go? So there just is a true need for that, and I believe that people, if you don't have nowhere to live, living on the street is not an option. The government needs to turn those encampments into real types of encampments for people to have certain
Wait,
housing.
I'm going to be devil's advocate, so I want to address another part of the article. What do you have to say to those who say the homeless people living in the park or sleeping in the park are causing issues or causing crime issues to rise? That's what Gavin Newsom is trying to say, and he's saying that's why they shouldn't be allowed to sleep in the park.
I don't fully agree with that. And the reason why is because when you look at the people that are committing most of these crimes, it is not homeless people. It is regular people that are walking through the park. People are committing slashings. People are shooting people in parks and have been using homeless people for years as shields. You have a homeless person sleeping on the bench, and then right there, just a few feet away, you have somebody that got stabbed. There have been many reports of that where homeless people just sitting have been used as human shields. So I don't agree that by you sleeping in the park, that is the most contributing factor to crime that is already existing in that area. I believe that they're just using that as an scapegoat to say, you can't stay here, you can't be here, and we want you to go, because it's making their city look bad.
Thank you. Thank you, Christian. Mo Barnes has joined the conversation. I wanted you to do this article. Go ahead.
All right, so it's funny that this article came up because I deal with housing here every day. Now, most housing I deal with right now is voucher housing, people who got vouchers, Section 8, all type of stuff. I just finished getting a lady back her Section 8 today because she's been on Section 8 since the 80s. Somebody took her signature from back then and put it on I no longer want Section 8. Somebody did some funny business up at Section 8 on Fordham Road. So now I got to get her an attorney and everything. They try to take her Section 8, just get her out this building. It's a nice building. They want to knock the wall and make it bigger. You know how it goes. So that's just one of the things of day-to-day dealing with housing. Now, you have your homeless people, and then you have homeless people who are mentally disturbed. The reason why the people that are mentally disturbed that are homeless are out in the streets because they feel they get treated horribly in the shelter system. They look down on them. People that work in shelters, they're not very nice people. From the caseworkers to the housing specialists down to the residential aides. They look down on them by default. They look down on them. All you got to do is get a residential aide, get them mad enough, and think about the things, just imagine some of the things they've said. People come here from shelters every day. They look down on us. If we get them mad or they don't like something, they'll tease in a way, they'll talk bad. And a lot of these people that work in shelters were once in shelters themselves. But since their business is so private, you wouldn't know that. So when it comes to homeless people, mentally disturbed homeless people, what's going on in the train system right now, it is the mentally disturbed homeless people. That's going on. That's happening. Whether it's up there at the last stop on the A train, Fort Washington, that shelter, they house a lot of mentally disturbed people. But like I said, they don't like being in the shelters. They don't respect the curfew. They don't want to follow the rules, or they just don't like the treatment. So they ride the trains uptown, downtown all night long. They're smoking K2 and all type of stuff on the train. They have no regard. They need caseworkers. They need case act. They need help. They need to be placed. When a single man goes into the shelter system, it's down on 30th Street. This used to be an asylum. It's right by the FDR. That's the biggest intake center in New York City. When a man goes to, when you're sitting there, they're supposed to ask you, are you working? Mental health. People lie because they want to get in a better shelter, so they say, I work, this, that, and the third. But the people that are mentally disturbed, they lie as well. So they have mental health shelters. When the pandemic happened, they started building up those hotels because they needed more room. They needed buildings. So they started paying these hotel owners, hey, we'll give you XYZ amount of dollars if you let us use this hotel for the remainder of the pandemic. They didn't tell them that they was going to take the TVs off the wall and take the beds out and replace them with bunk beds and turn it into a real homeless shelter, to the point where the hotel has to totally revamp the building now that the pandemic is kind of subsided. So all these people that you see out on the street is homeless. There's people that are home that been homeless for years. They haven't bothered a soul, haven't committed no crime. They collect their cans. They stay to themselves. You may know some of these people in your different neighborhoods. He's homeless, she's homeless, but they're kind. They're not a menace to society at all. But then they're mixed in with the ones who are.
Right.
So they're all seen as.
I have a question for you. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
But somebody from the GOP could take what you just said about the trains and what they do on the trains, going back and forth and smoking, and say basically, so that's why we don't want them to legally be allowed to be on the train. So that's why they want these camping rules to be like put into place. So what do you think that these camping restriction rules are necessary, or are you saying the opposite?
Opposite. It needs to be taken case by case. You
Okay.
can't. I don't believe that. Even though that's going on, crime is going on. Period.
So that means it shouldn't be law if it goes
Yeah.
by case by case.
Yes,
Right.
it should be case by case. Like, that's why law enforcement is hired as law. Do your job. Case by case, incident by incident. Don't just wrap everybody up. No, that's not how it. Do your job. You get paid to do a job. Do it. Psychologists get paid to do a job. Do it. People think Bellevue is a joke. People think Harlem Hospital psychiatric, they think it's a joke. It's a money thing. And right now with housing and the migrants coming in, like Christian said, that's just the cover for them to make more excuses. But before the migrants came in, it was already an issue with housing. But here's the big question. Why does homelessness even exist? There's countries that literally don't have homelessness. Medicare's health aid is free, education is free. So what's going on in this country? What blueprint they got going on that keeps the homelessness constantly going? You mean to tell me you can't put every man and woman in a home? But they have things like the 421A credit, where a landlord that has a building for 10 years, if he has a 40-unit apartment building, if he makes 15 of them available for low-income affordable housing, he'll get a property tax credit for the next 10 years. So that's why you have people that are working people that, and this is no disrespect to people who receive a subsidy, whether it's Section 8 or City FEPS or whatever subsidy. There are people that don't receive none of that go to work every day, that can't find respectable price housing. They apply for the same lotteries, and it's not a lottery, by the way. Housing Connect is not a lottery. A lottery would entail that it's randomly picked and you win, like the lotto machine that you play. Housing Connect Lotto, they have stipulations. If this person is blind or hearing, if they're deaf, if they're hearing impaired, if they work for the city, if they already live in the community, if a building goes up right here at Community Board 10, if you already live here, you'll get called for it. All these different stipulations that you get, that's not a lottery. That's cherry picking. So it's a lot going on in housing. It's a lot of politics. And while those politics are going on, it's $8,800 a night for a person to lay in a shelter. Jesus. $8,800. People that have their own organization where they work with DHS to take people in, $8,800 a night for somebody to stay in a bed. That's bread. That's crazy. So it's a bigger conversation. And as I'm helping people day to day, I'm learning so much about housing and how it works. This is crazy.
Well, we need to have another housing forum led by Mo Bars.
Yes, I want to have one here. They have
Yeah.
the Brooklyn chapter. I didn't even know Brooklyn chapter was active, but they have one after the convention is over. So please go to that. But we're going to have our Harlem joint. Mine's going to be better lit.
I can't. We're supporting all equally. Excuse us.
Equally. All this equally. Sorry, man for life.
Come on. Thank you, Mo. Thank you for breaking it down. Come on, Anthony.
Definitely. So the first thing I want to say concerning all of that, sister, you opened up a can of worms, Woman Queen. Podcast. Podcast. Yep. Hello. So it's not gonna increase. It has nothing to do with the crime. The crime is the crime. The real crime is how y'all playing with people in high society. I'm talking to you. You're playing with people because what you're doing is you say, oh, I'm gonna set this system up like this, and I'm gonna set this system up like that. Regular working class people don't build communities. You understand? So the people who truly build communities, y'all just playing a game where everybody said, oh, let me see what's going to happen here. Let me see what's going to happen there. When you already did the book heist with the libraries of Alexandria. When you already have all the knowledge on how society has been great. So you just lying. And you making people hurt each other and hurt themselves because they all hurt. And they can't figure it out. So why? Because you bought everything. You had everything. You had every type of intimacy you could think of. You ate every weird thing you could think of. And now you ain't got nothing to do. And then when you look up to the sky and you realize that you afraid of what you have no control over, then the only thing that make you less afraid is power over somebody else. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with us. We're not your toys and puppets. It could be fixed instantaneously. Let me tell you, if it was up to me, I'd be in every building, remodeling all of them, creating a better quality of life for everybody. Some people like to stay outside because they want to walk the earth like Forrest Gump. So you can't tell me nothing about it. Then you got people and you teaching them, you programming them. That's why I called your father, because I said we got to put it on repeat. Why? Because you singing a mantra. Shoot them up, shoot them up. I'm going to take your girl, use her up, and use drugs, and then I'm going to give her back to you, and we're going to get high and sell y'all stuff. And now you expect these young kids to grow up and behave. It's a problem. And it's way beyond that right there.
Thank
so
you,
cut it
Ed.
out.
Thank you, Doc. You broke that down, took it up, and broke it back. Come on, Word.
So, the homeless problem is something that could easily be worked on, and what seems to be very apparent to me is that there's a lot of complaints, and the public officials are not providing any solutions. So, the United States has a lot of land that's unused. Now, calling a place that homeless people sleep at a camp, it's not a camp. It's a very strange name to call that type of area. But we're going to use their word. In the meantime, these people who are in these homeless camps really should be afforded an opportunity to live someplace else. And I don't hear that offer being made to any of them. Now, the President Biden currently has a green program, whatever that is. I think it does include building houses, building buildings. There's a lot of space in the United States, like I said, that's very vacant, and they could start constructing buildings. And then asking some of these people that are in these camps, would they like to move? Because that's another issue too. Like the brother was saying, there's some people who don't want a place to live, but they should be given and forced to live indoors if it's claimed to be illegal to be living outdoors. Now, in terms of these crimes, I don't know what crimes they're really talking about, so I'm not even going to allege certain other crimes, but I know homeless people don't have bathrooms. So if they want to call that a crime, what other choice do these people have? So that is definitely a crime, but it has to be excused, in my opinion, for people who don't have homes and not being afforded opportunities to even have a place where they could shower and use the toilet properly. So the governor of California is huge with a lot of vacant land. He could really get some money together, because they have it, and start constructing a place that could now be called a town that's particularly for the people who are currently homeless in the state of California. Sign them up, let them know that when they come, their house is available with however many stories it's going to be, then they can move in. But something has to be done to show that there's a solution plan to really solve this. Otherwise, it's something that they deliberately want to maintain to be a problem.
Thank you, Sister Word. Very good analysis. I'm sorry to do this, but we have to make sure everybody is 2 minutes because we have 2 more Did You Knows. Sorry.
I'm listening to everybody about the homeless. Like, they have to put, say they have a 100-story building. They still got to put aides in there, HHAs or PCs.
Talking about
some social worker, and even a nurse or a doctor has to come in to check them. I mean, I was moved, and there's been homeless people here for years, but they don't want to be. I know even myself, I was a single parent living in a big room like this, and there was nothing but cots. And when they come in to wake you up, you have to get up and carry your things with you. There was no lockers for us, or somebody will steal your stuff while you sleep. And the only way that I moved, because I was already in housing, so they transferred me because of the domestic violence that was going on in my home because of him. And he lied. He worked for the system. He tried to find me in the shelter, the regular shelter, and people are helping him. His co-workers are helping him, trying to find me and my children, and I had them 7, 3.5, 2.5. And when I moved to the domestic violence shelter, that's when he didn't know where I was. It's hard. They need to do something heavy about it.
Thank you, sister, for sharing your personal story. Let's clap her up. Thank you. Tony Vid?
Years ago, I don't remember how long it was, I found out about one of the states that's actually almost completely eliminated homelessness, Utah. I got a quote on Google. Utah is on track to become the first state in the nation to eradicate homelessness. The entire state has fewer than 300 homeless people and will likely eliminate chronic homelessness by the end of the year, a housing expert had told Mother Jones.
That's good.
So we already know how to do this. The question is, are we actually going to do this? Because if you don't know how to do this, you just talk to a brilliant genius who knows how to do it, and you let them teach you how to do that. Right? That's why coaches exist, and that's why all of this stuff happens, AI. Another thing I want to say is that for people who are homeless, most of the time it's because they never learn how to make money or manage their money, which is why they're homeless in the first place.
We don't want to generalize. I think that's a generalization and assumption.
Okay, well, I just want to say that if they was making money, they wouldn't be homeless, bottom line.
That's not always true either.
Okay, I'll take it back. I'll leave it with Utah. I'm complete.
All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Tony B. Yeah. Go ahead. I know people that are homeless that have jobs. Go ahead.
Right, definitely. So what I wanted to say is, I heard a couple people say, force them. Once you start forcing things, lots of people take it to another level. And so they think that they can physically start grabbing you and harming you. So we have to be careful some things we're saying. How are you going to force a person that wants to travel outside, outdoor life, their whole life, and force them inside? That I wouldn't agree with that. And outside, if we eat properly, all excretion is biodegradable. We use animal excretion to plant trees and vegetation, always. So we have to be very considerate to maintain good works and consider everyone. And if we start to look at that and stop being afraid of all the evil that you can think of, stop thinking of so much evil. Start thinking of something right. And then you won't be so afraid for things to work out naturally, because things are natural, but we're unnatural. All humans are basically unhealthy and sick. We're not normal. If you was normal, then your body would create a system that's almost impenetrable. It doesn't make any sense how people are doing things and looking at things. Try obeying the scriptures. Try studying to show yourself approved.
Come on, Anthony.
Try it. Just try it and see it. Prove it. If you can prove me that it don't work, then I won't say nothing else. But I don't see too many people prove me that it do work or that it don't work. He's just going about it after, I'm going to say it from, this is going to work out for me if I tell you to do this and do that, and then I'm send collections around. I heard a man preach, don't give them money, buy them something to eat, and then right after service he sent a collection plate. I don't get it.
Thank you, Aunt. Last statement on homelessness.
Homelessness, Eslean Parson, Yvonne Lee. Homelessness, what Biden did and let all the people come out and to the park and give them free health care with the needles and all that caused
You talk about with COVID?
yeah, during COVID,
Oh, no, that was
before? That was before him? All right. I apologize. Oh, number 45?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Trump.
Oh, all right. Oh, thank you for correcting me. Well, he had something to do with that. So he's saying that
The vaccine you're talking about?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm talking about they let all the needles and all that into the during the pandemic, that they let all like the needles that they use for
drugs?
for they dope and whatever they
Okay.
shoot, and so he let the health people give that out.
Okay.
So they started throwing it
So
in
they have
the
clean
parks.
ones? Okay.
So if they throwing it in the parks, the little children that we
Can pick it
have running around, they pick them up, and they like, oh, we curious, like, oh, okay, what's this?
Thank you. Okay.
They don't thank you nothing.
Yo.
Now,
What is the...
like I said, it is a harm to our little ones because y'all talk about voting all the time. So if you get the little ones to come out voting and let them know what voting mean and let them get in, voting means something. It's not only the presidential. When I come here, I come and let my young ones know that smoke marijuana, that do this, that mess with the PTA, that mess with the little gay ones. I let them know. When I come here, I'm gonna let y'all know and speak to y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. To wrap this up, thank you everyone for your opinions, from talking about the verbiage from camping word to talking about the issues. Well, that's a whole, we obviously have to have another whole housing forum, a few of them, to just address the shelter issues. The shelters alone are an issue. And there's also stigmas related to homelessness that we need to address here as well. But this specifically is about enforcing strict anti-camping ordinances, that's what's going to be in front of the Supreme Court. On April 22nd, a bunch of organizations and advocates will be outside the Supreme Court basically advocating against this so that this does not happen. If you would like to be a part of that, you can let me know. Again, it's April 22nd in DC outside the Supreme Court for this issue specifically. All right? If they do pass this, that means, and I don't want to go too long because we already went over time, but could you imagine if it was illegal for people to sleep in the park? And what would happen basically for cops, it to be legal for them to tell them to move, and then all of the basically assault and abuse that's going to happen just because it's illegal for people to sleep in parks or to sleep in their car or to sleep somewhere that they're not supposed to be allegedly sleeping. That's going to cause a whole issue of other things in this time. And I don't think that's necessary, and I don't think the Supreme Court should do that. That's just my personal opinion. Thank you for your time.
I tried to tell Patrice just to walk up, but she wanted to be introduced. Okay, now for our next Did You Know, we are going to have Miss Patrice Perry with our second Did You Know of the evening. Let's go. Let's give Patrice a hand.
Thank you so much, host. Thank you so much, host. I appreciate that. Good evening, Huddle family, once again. So let me find out, how many of you have heard the name Elisha Gilliam? Oh. This is wonderful. That's why we do Did You Know, not one person. What happened to the pregnant woman found dead in a Kansas City field? A 26-year-old pregnant woman was found dead in February. There are still no answers to how she died. It's been 5 weeks, and we still don't know why or how the 26-year-old Elisha Gilliam, a pregnant black mother of 4, was found dead in a park field. Police in Kansas City said that on February 19th, officers responded to a call and then went to a field near Dunbar Park where they found Gilliam's body. They said she appeared to be suffering from body trauma and multiple gunshot wounds. Emergency respondents pronounced her dead on the scene. She was just 12 weeks along with her 5th child. Little to no tips have been offered to suggest how she died. Her parents tell NBC News the night of her death, she may have left home to see her boyfriend because she left her other 4 children with her mother. However, Gilliam never returned home to pick up her kids. The lack of information from the police has only frustrated Claudetta, who said many of her questions regarding the death are unanswered, which is her mom. Are there any fingerprints from shell cases? What was found around her? Did she have clothes on when she was found? Detectives said that they are making progress toward identifying a person of interest. but have also asked for the public's help with gathering information and are offering a reward of up to $25,000. That case remains under investigation as a homicide. The department told the NBC News in an email. According to Gilliam's family, she was making a new beginning for herself before this tragedy. She moved into a new place, started a new job, and was making plans to open up her own hair salon. They remembered her as the one who made sacrifices to provide for the one she cared about. The love and joy she brought her family makes her death all the more heartbreaking and remains the driving force why they will never give up until they receive justice. I'm not going to let them get away with this and sweep this under the rug. I want every single person charged, said her stepmother, Claudetta, via NBC. 26-year-old, this would have been her fifth kid. 5 weeks ago, she was killed and found dead in the street. This kind of reminds me similar to the case, you guys remember Kanika Jenkins? Who said that she locked herself in the freezer in 2017, and she was only 19. So my question is, do our lives really matter? What should we do nationally to make sure that no other 26-year-old that this happens to? It has to be something done across the board. All of our young people are just ending up dead. 5 weeks and no one has called on this girl or looked for her or anything. And now they're saying, oh, they may have someone. May. So what do you think? And again, this is in Kansas City. It is not too far-fetched for the National Action Network because we are the National Action Network. Come up and tell us your thoughts, sis.
Lord, I'm out of breath. First of all, I just want to give Dominique, I want to applaud her tonight. She's here with her son, and the way she's handling him, I can just hear, you know, when we have children, the thing about Easter yesterday was like, our communities was desolate. You remember the Easter days when you were kids would be out with their bonnets and their dresses and everything? The neighborhoods were desolate. You didn't see any kids. And so seeing how Dominique is handling her son because he wanted what he wanted and she said he couldn't have it. And he didn't get it either. And he had his little fit, but guess what? It wasn't loud. He didn't roll on the ground. I just watched how she handled it, and I want to say, Dominique, you're doing a very good job.
All right. Shout out to Dominique.
Right on. Now, the other thing we're going to have to do as black people, we're going to have a black people's agenda. Because first of all, some people say, oh, we get on the radio, and you got these revolutionary radio people. That's the only forum we have as black people. All we got is the Like It Is or whatever shows that come on the radio, and then we don't have, I don't know about podcasting. I don't have money to open up a center on every corner to do something. I don't have the ability to do that. And I know a lot of politicians and political people having been a president of a tenant association. A lot of those people are quiet now. I don't know what's going on. Everything is mum's the word, and everything is just getting worse and worse and worse. So what we're going to have to do, we're going to have a black people's agenda. Every time, there's going to have to be laws. When somebody gets murdered or whatever, well, what color were they? We need to know. They're not telling us. Every day on the news, you see somebody getting murdered, shot in the eye and in their mouth and all this kind of thing here, and we don't know whether they black or white. So by having a black people's agenda, we can keep record of stuff in our communities, with our Congress people, senators, city council, and all of them, their people. Because if we don't do something, it's not enough to say, yeah, just go out and vote. Yeah, you got to vote because your mom and daddy anniversary, they all voted in back way back when. That's good, and it's true, but once we vote for these people, because I agree with you, Word, with this whole Trump thing, Trump can't get back in there. We could 45 all day, but Trump cannot, he can't have that opportunity. So we do have to vote. That's right. We do have to vote, but we're gonna have our agenda, because no one is pointing at us. We're in the middle and all the missiles are aiming at us. So we're gonna have to deal with our our issues collectively to get something done. And if it means shutting these cities down, every congressperson, every senator, every who, this, and the third, if it means to them and saying we're going to do our thing, that's what we're going to have to do. Because that's the only way something's going to get done.
Thank you so much. And remember, all of them come through the doors of NAN, so there's no excuse why we can't step into their face and ask them what are they doing about this. Come on, sis. What's your thoughts?
Thoughts is that, like, the sister just came forward and said, black or white. They never tell us. They never tell us who get shot. The young baby up in the Bronx, 2 years old, walking with his mother, and whoever the young man on the other side of the street shooting, and people are running all over the place. Try to duck. You're supposed to drop. When you hear gunshots, you're supposed to drop on the ground. And because I've been in law enforcement training, that's what they teach us, to drop to the ground. But people don't. They panic. They shot it. The bullet went through the little kid's hip, hit him. I don't know, boy or girl.
So what do you think we could do nationally about this situation
Well, we gotta put our money together. We gotta put it in like a account, and don't worry about, oh, I don't have it. Get $1, borrow $1 from somebody. Let's put that in that account. But we gotta do something, even with like the last information that Ashley had brought. The doctor out there, Hezekiah, he brought a building for tenants, and we got to do things just like he's doing. So that's what he did. But we got to take care of each other.
Thank you.
We have to.
Thank you so much. Tell us what we can do nationally so that situation like this can't happen. How are you?
Yes, the situation definitely have to change, and it's all about the election now. All about getting out the vote for us to get some change, and the violence that's going on here. I see, we got to help with Eric, the police commissioner, mayor, and I heard them say that if you see something, say something. But it got to be more to that. Like if you see something, say something and do something. I take back when they choked the black man on the train, that white guy. Is they guilty, the ones who sat around and watched the life fall out of that man? You know what I'm saying? And yours all in the train, and you're seeing the life fall out.
Jordan Neely.
So we got to not only see something and say something, we got to do something. We can't sit there and be so numb to allow and see someone's life being drained out of their body. And we ain't doing nothing. No one's saying nothing like, listen, stop that. We got so numb and we're not doing anything to do that. So it's about getting out the vote. We got to feel like we all American here. I like what Biden said, the soul of America. You know what I'm saying? We got to fight for that. We got to get flags because the Proud Boys and them use the American flag to beat up cops in the Capitol and holding the flag. You think it belongs to them, but it belongs to us. That flag stands for us. We fought for it and died for it just as well. Mm-hmm. So, having a flag with all American, we all American. It's not black, white, and if you're living in America, you're America. You got to stand up and fight for America. We got to feel like that flag and this country belongs to us. And we can't be fearful of standing up to fight for that. With the gangs and everything, the domestic violence, it's so crazy out here. We got to get more men involved, teaching the children at a young age to stand up. All right? With that, thank you. Let me share.
Thank you so much. And we're going to wrap it up with our last comment from our brother Anthony.
So, first of all, nationwide, we got to stop teaching people that it's okay to kill. Amen. You got video games, movies, songs that you sing to yourselves in mantras. You have to stop it. Stop thinking, I'm going to prove that I'm gangster. I cut it out. Cut it out. There's nothing cool about killing your fellow man. There's nothing cool about teaching people that it's all right to kill. The first thing we need to do is figure out a mantra that teaches it's not all right to kill. Then we can continue to work further on it.
Thank you so much. And to wrap up my Did You Know? So as I read the article and it said she was 26, this would have been her 5th child. So you never know what a 26-year-old is doing with 5 kids. We don't know. But they said she was out there trying to make a better life for her children. And for someone just to snuff a life, that means you're heartless. You kill a pregnant woman, knowing that she has 4 kids is going to keep asking, where's mommy? Where's mommy? She's gone. So we must stay on this case. We must stay on this issue. We need to write to the Kansas City government. You know, somebody, the mayor, the governor out there, we need to find out what's going on. We can't let this just lie under the rug. And ask them, why did it take y'all 5 weeks to realize that this young lady is dead? And now y'all just looking for something. Her stepmother's not having it, and neither is National Action Network. So stay in the know. This is my Did You Know? And we will say her name, Alicia Gilliam. Say her name, Alicia Gilliam. Say her name, Alicia Gilliam. And that wraps up my Did You Know?
All right, thank you, Patrice. She wanted somebody to introduce her, but she didn't introduce me. But it's all right. All right, I'm going to close our Did You Know segment, and then Anthony is going to close us for the evening with his Artivism segment. We have 2 Artivisms now. Dan did us earlier. Thank you for your wonderful singing. And then Anthony's going to come with his theatrical stuff that he does. But I have a Did You Know about DEI. Now, as you know, this DEI fight has been since November of last year. That we have been fighting, and so as Dominic told us, we have been fighting over 3 months, fighting against DEI. But this is a new attack on DEI that I don't even think that people would really probably comprehend what people are saying. So the title of my article is this: Maryland Governor Wes Moore. Does everybody know who Wes Moore is? He will be at the convention on the first day. And he will be I believe he's giving opening remarks along with Reverend. He's the first person. But Goldie, who is Wes Moore? He is the governor, not Baltimore, Maryland. Maryland, yeah, everybody thinks Baltimore is a state. No, that is the city. and what else is specific about Governor Wes Moore? Thank you. He is black. I believe he's the first black governor of the state of Maryland. Let's give that a round of applause. He might be, him and Hakeem. But this Maryland Governor Wes Moore claps back at Republicans for saying that DEI has caused the Baltimore Bridge collapse. There are Republicans that are saying that the bridge that collapsed in Baltimore was due to the impact of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Can you believe that? Okay. Maryland Governor Wes Moore is dismissing Republican claims that diversity, equity, and inclusion are to blame for the Francis Scott Key Bridge collision in Baltimore. The tragedy left 2 construction workers dead and 4 others missing. My response is, I have no time for foolishness. Moore told CNN's Dana Bash when asked about the hateful commentary on the State of the Union. Sadly, it remains unknown to when the 4 people will be discovered due to the complexity of the situation. So if you don't know, there is a lot of debris that is in that water. So they have found and recovered 2 people that have passed tragically due to this. But I also want to highlight the governor and the mayor of Baltimore, who are 2 black men that had very quick response time to the collision of that bridge. Because they say there were thousands of people that pass over that bridge every day, and it just so happens that right before that bridge there was a little right before the boat hit into that bridge there was a traffic jam. And it was the quick thinking of the governor, the National Guard, and the mayor of Baltimore, who was at the scene at the time that the bridge collapsed, into that bridge that allowed for, instead of it being hundreds of casualties, which I'm not saying that the 6 people who are missing, that is a tragedy in and of itself. But we ought to be glad that it was not hundreds of people. Am I right about that? And so we're grateful for their quick response for that in this situation. Last week, the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott, who is a young man, well, he's 40, but he's young, that's young. I'm not calling 40-year-olds old, so if you're 40 in here, 36 to 40, you're still young, you're not middle-aged yet. You're almost middle-aged, you're getting there. All right, the mayor of Baltimore, who is black as well, he has been given the title of the DEI mayor. And let me tell you why. They believe that Brandon Scott was appointed to his position. But it just so happens that he was not appointed. It is not very often that somebody is appointed to the seat of mayor for any major city. It is not like the previous mayor had resigned. This man, Brandon Scott, who is a nice man, I met him before, he was elected to the seat that he sits in. So if he was elected, how does that make him a DEI mayor? But also previously to him, before he became mayor, he was also a city council member. So he already had the vote of the people. And when he was a city council member, he won his district by over 70%, which is not very often in Baltimore, according to the article. That's good. Scott is someone that, that's Brandon. Brandon sat with MSNBC's Joy Reid, who will be at convention this year, to discuss the online attacks. He said, and I quote, "I know, we know, and you know very well that black men and young black men in particular have been the boogeyman for those who are racist and think that only straight wealthy white men should have anything to say at all." White men. But if it comes from a black person, there's a problem. Scott also explained that he did not receive, as I told you before, special appointment to his position because of his race. But he was literally elected. In fact, the 39-year-old, as I said, 40, politician served on the city council before becoming mayor in 2020. So this will now be going on to his 4th year, and he is now completing his first term successfully. Baltimore has been turning around. It actually has been turning around for good. A lot of people are leaving New York to go to Baltimore, but that's a whole different thing. Baltimore is a very good state. A very good city. Did you see Goldie? I'm like you. Baltimore is a good city, and Maryland is a great state, but I'm a New Yorker every day. I love going to Maryland, though. I'm sorry. We've been the boogeyman for racists since the first day they brought us to this country, and what they mean by DEI, in my opinion, is duly elected incumbent. He said, "We know what they want to say, but they don't have the courage to say it, to say the N-word, and the fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology." Unlike Scott, Moore, the governor, has spent less time with the commentary and has just been going on to help those that are impacted by this tragedy. Governor Moore said, "I'm locked in on making sure that we can bring closure and comfort to these families and making sure that we're going to keep our first responders safe for doing their heroic work." So, with all of that being said, I'm not going to ask a question. The time is now delayed. So I'm going to just make brief remarks. And if you have anything to say, find Patrice at the end of the program and talk to her. She sits at the table right over there. And so, with all of that being said, it's really good No loss of life is ever good, but I'm just grateful that this bridge collapse did not cause more people to die. I remember when I first thought about this bridge, I had to remember this is Maryland and not the Delaware Bridge, because I got nervous. I said, I have to go to D.C., I have to go to Virginia, actually, in 2 weeks for my cousin's graduation. And I said, how are we going to get there if this bridge collapsed? Then I looked online, okay, it's not the Delaware Bridge, but it's the Maryland Bridge. But this is a bridge with significant travel. But I also want to point this out. This boat has had many issues before. This same boat, I don't know if you guys are watching the news, but I watched it on MSNBC and they said it. And every other news station is saying it. This boat had an issue 2 years ago in a different country. It had another issue right here in New York. Actually, I believe this was one of the boats that they had to push out of here. And we have cruise boats that leave the city. I never noticed, I've never gone out of a cruise boat in the city. I don't think I ever would, because that's very shallow, the water. So I don't know how they get those boats out of here. But the boat has even had a problem here. So there's a track record with this boat. However, we must also understand that the Secretary of Treasury, people don't know, they look at train traffic, they look at plane traffic, but boat travel is an entirely different thing in its entirety. So there are different levels to it. And so I'm glad that Secretary Pete Buttigieg, did I say his last name right? Buttigieg. Okay, I can't say it. Okay, Pete, Secretary Pete. I don't know if he'll be at convention, but I know he was at convention last year. He has done a great job at, from the federal level, making sure that they had all the assistance that they had with containing that situation. But, I just also want us as NAN to keep those families uplifted. It is not easy losing your family member, but it is definitely not easy losing a family member due to tragedy. Tragedy that could have also been prevented. Because if that boat was already giving hell, if that boat was already giving problems, it should have never been in our waters. However, this is a cargo ship that was containing hundreds, almost thousands of products into that area. The harbor that it was going into, besides the New York harbor, the Baltimore harbor is the it's the largest port on this side of the East Coast. The New York harbor is the second, but the Baltimore harbor is where all the bigger boats go into before it comes up here through the trucks and through all of that stuff. So, that's what I'm telling you. This is a bigger, y'all got to do y'all history to understand really all of this. But I want us to keep the families in prayer. And I also want y'all to notice the reason and the point of this article was to also highlight how people will use anything to go after DEI. There is no reason why Republicans should be using DEI and saying that DEI is what caused for the bridge to collapse. It is not the fault of the Baltimore mayor that the bridge collapsed into the bridge. Exactly. We never know what the government is up to. And actually, when you think about it, the Secretary of Transport, that is what you call interstate commerce. It is also, because that came from a different country, that's also foreign commerce. So where does that come from? That comes from the federal government. The federal government deals with foreign commerce and interstate commerce. That is not local government at all. Those two different things. So there's no reason for them to be using this as an scapegoat and say he was an appointed mayor and he should lose his job. And now this is a way for them to attack us as black people, and we cannot allow them, it's all right, Marcus Al, we cannot allow them to go after our black mayors. Yes, I'm wrapping up. They cannot go after our black mayors, and they cannot go after our black governors. Marcus Al, I'm done. You don't have to scream no more. Anthony is going to close this out. Anthony, you're going to do it. I'm going to pray, and you're going to be our entertainment as we are eating, if you don't mind. Okay, good. Thank you. So let everybody stand. We're going home. And we're going to listen to Anthony, who's going to be our theatrical guest on this evening. All hearts and minds clear, all mouths are muted, all eyes are closed. God, we thank you for this time and this opportunity that we have gathered tonight. We thank you for all of those that were here. We thank you for those that watched us virtually. Now, God, we thank you for the good conversation that we had. Let us leave with a new mindset and an open mind and clearer understanding to the things that we did not know. Thank you for all of the staff and the leadership of NAN's Youth Huddle. Thank you for our leader, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, Attorney Hardy, and all of those that are on the board of chairpersons. Now, God, we ask that you bless the food. Thank you for the hands that prepared it. Thank you for the serving team. Now, God, as we leave this place for never from your presence, get us to our appointed destinations and find all things well. In Jesus' name, amen. Y'all are dismissed.